We've got some good news to discuss on today's Cowboys Report. Some bad news on Trevon Diggs, Micah Parsons as well, but it's been a lot of negativity lately, which is understandable and viable. Let's start with the positives instead. The Cowboys are activating DaRon Bland from injured reserve today. In fact, they've already done so officially. It was the last chance to do so, or else Bland would have spent the entire year on IR. So it means DaRon Bland is coming back for the Dallas Cowboys. If you are glad about that, to get the Pick 6 King back on the football field, show it by liking today's video for me right now. Now, Bland had his window activated 21 days ago. That is the amount of time you have to practice, and then you must return to the active roster, count against the 53-man limit, or be placed on IR or stay on IR and miss the remainder of the season. The Cowboys had thought they were going to get Bland back before the Lions game. Then DaRon Bland had a setback. Stephen Jones said, there was some soreness. I think they underplayed / lied about the severity of said setback because he has not practiced since October 10th. He'd practiced on the Wednesday, practiced on the Thursday of that Lions game week, and hasn't practiced since. And as we'll get into, doesn't sound like he'll practice today. Now, the Cowboys had two options today. They had two paths they could pursue with DaRon Bland and his 2024 season future. Option one, put him on the active roster. Even if he's not back today or tomorrow or this game, that keeps the door open for a Week 10, whenever, return for the Cowboys, because the other option, the only other option that was left, was to keep him on IR for the entirety of the season. Don't let him come back at all this year, and you don't get to play him at any point this season. I do want to emphasize this. This is not a guarantee, the return of DaRon Bland from IR, that he'll play against the Falcons. But it does give you some hope that you're going to get one of your best football players back, and it gives you some good news, which I forget what someone had been a lot of comments like, when are we going to get some good news? About as close as you're going to get right now. And I think the Cowboys need that. I think that this team, this organization needs a bit of a jolt, a kickstart. This is something. It's probably not enough juice to get you through for the playoffs and everything, but it might help you enough short term to give you a little bit of confidence and a little bit of good vibes that there are very few of right now. Again, doesn't mean DaRon Bland's going to play this week. So will DaRon Bland play against the Falcons? Y for yes, N for no. It is the pinned comment on today's show. So if the ad comes on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Now, Mike McCarthy has said the goal is for DaRon Bland to practice on Thursday, which is a little concerning, a little troubling, a little whatever. I would have loved for him to practice today. We're now about to be 21 days until last practice. That's not very good. I do know this. We will know more here later in the week. Now, we'll see exactly if he's able to go Thursday, bodes really well. Even if he goes Thursday, normally when you practice on Thursday, that means you're going to play in the game. I'm not going to give that normal benefit of the doubt to DaRon Bland because we saw it against Lions. Practice Wednesday, practice Thursday, then didn't practice Friday. So you probably have to ride this one all the way out unless you get he's out ruling before game day or there's no designation ruling on Saturday. He already had one setback, and I would be lying to you if I wasn't worried about another one because sometimes when it rains, it pours, and that's kind of been a pretty common theme so far this year for the Dallas Cowboys. You need to get some players healthy. You're on the right track with DaRon Bland. We'll talk about Trevon Diggs and Micah Parsons in a little bit here on today's show, but that is certainly a noteworthy one that you're trending towards getting DaRon Bland back. Now, to put DaRon Bland on the active roster, you did have to put somebody on injured reserve, and the Cowboys have done that. Oruwariye is unfortunately now out for the entirety of or at least 4 games, I should say, excuse me. He was playing pretty well, to be quite honest. He had stepped up in a way that other players hadn't on this football team. He had made some impactful plays. He had a pick. He had a couple pass breakups. He had kind of taken the job away from the Kalen Carson, Andrew Booth combination. So if in the event Oruwariye doesn't return Or if Bland can't go, that means you got to go back to one of Carson and Booth to be your number 2 corner on the outside for against the Falcons team that likes to use multiple receivers and 11 personnel looks. So back injury for Oruwariye. You saw him hurt it late against the 49ers. It kind of sucks for him because he was actually playing better than some of the other guys on the roster, but it had to put somebody on IR. He's going to miss some time now. How severe that back injury is, I don't know, but he's out for at least 4 games. Today's show is made possible by PrizePicks. It is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You pick more or less on at least 2 players for a chance to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. It is the only platform with an injury insurance policy, which is very valuable for the Cowboys these days. So you'll have to stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. If they go down the first half, don't return, your picks stay in play. They've got the flex play. They've got little demons and goblins, which is always fun because it just makes it a little bit easier to get those picks to hit. We're going Kyle Pitts more than receiving yards because Donovan Wilson's terrible. Sorry. CJ Stroud more than a half passing touchdown against the Jets on Thursday night. I like that one. And Saquon Barkley more than rushing yards against kind of a shaky Jags defense overall. It's also traded away some key pieces. So download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Go download the app, prizepicks.com/CLNS, and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. I do think Bland's potential return here is pretty big for the Dallas Cowboys because you need another impact player on your defense. Not just an impact corner, which you need, but an impact player, period, is needed on this Cowboys football team. DaRon Bland last year was the pick 6 king. It's not to say he was perfect. The Seahawks game he didn't play very well against, but he also shouldn't have been up against DKMF. Didn't like that matchup. That's normally a healthy Diggs matchup. You would like to have DaRon Bland out there to be able to make plays. He's at least a willing run support player as well. He is a clear upgrade over the Kalen Carson, Amani Oruwariye, Andrew Booth trio that you've been going with while Bland's been out. And your pass rush is still not very good, and that is probably missing far too many pieces overall to ever become good this year. But better corners help your pass rush. It's all interconnected. If your corners can cover even an extra half second, that extra half second might get your pass rush home. And vice versa, too. But it all matters. So how important is it to get DaRon Bland back, especially for this upcoming game? Let me know in the comment section. Scale it from 1 to 10. Now, before we move too far forward here in the cornerback conversation, this is where things currently sit. So DaRon Bland banged up. I'm still going to list Kalen Carson on the injured list because he's been on the injury report every week with that shoulder injury that we will have to keep our eyes on and what's going on there. Also now back on the *= hurt list is Trevon Diggs. He is not going to practice today with an undisclosed injury. Now, most of the media has reported undisclosed injury. Normally, Diggs meets with the media on Wednesdays. That's a normal open, media practice day. So that might not happen. Clarence Hill is saying it's a injury he's been dealing with. That would be his ankle. He's been on the injury report in previous weeks for his ankle. I would assume it's the same thing there. I don't know that for certain, but it does make me worried. The Twitter sphere has already been, Scott, I don't want to talk to the media-itis or media, what hurt-ism. I don't know if that's true. I don't frankly care if it's true or not because I need my guy out there practicing. And the Cowboys will not invent an injury just to let someone not talk to the media. They can always just say no. It's not actually all that you can get fined for it, but still. So I think there is something up with Trevon Diggs. He was much more physical against the 49ers, and maybe is a bit banged up as a result of that, but he looked fine to me on the Bleacher Report podcast with Micah. So don't know what's up with Trevon Diggs. We'll find out more probably on Thursday. If you're DNP on Wednesday, that's fine. If you're DNP on Thursday, that's when I get concerned. The Cowboys have made roster moves. They brought back DaRon Bland. They got some more players coming back from injuries, hopefully, in the not-too-distant future. Anytime there's Cowboys news, moves, etc., we have you covered. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. Micah Parsons also, this is continuing your bad news stuff here, doesn't sound like he's going to practice today. And if I had to guess right now, I'd say he probably doesn't play against the Falcons, which would really suck because you need him out there to help you win that football game. It's much more winnable than it ever was against the 49ers. And Kirk Cousins can't move, so you need to get some pressure on him. It's just, it's not a combination. Big Mike basically saying that Mike is just not ready to return to practice. He's made progress. There's a reason why the high ankle sprains are normally 4 to 6 week injuries. You're in the middle of that window, so it's not that he's. It's kind of like people like practice starts at 3, you got to be there at 2:55. We're kind of at the 2:55 part. Like, we're not late for practice, but we're not early for practice, and that's what sucks because you want to get back earlier rather than on time or late. You're still in the midst of that 4 to 6 week window. I really hope he can practice Thursday or Friday. My expectations are very low. It's a high ankle sprain. This can be a little bit tricky. It's just another example of, year's just not going the way you want it